3 days. For Eitan and Mutin, they had felt more like weeks. The house was still the same. The living room hadn't changed. The toys were exactly where the girls had left them. But without their laughter, everything felt incomplete. The silence during breakfast tugged at Eitan's heart. Sometimes Mutin would absent-mindedly begin saying, "Merin, finish your meal." Then he'd stop. The two of them would look at each other and smile. Because they had become so used to it. The laughter. The running footsteps. The beautiful little chaos. The moment they had been waiting for. Finally, the morning of the third day arrived. Eitan had been ready since early dawn. Mutin arrived at the school in much earlier than usual. Many parents were already gathered outside. Everyone was waiting for the bus with the same excitement. And then, in the distance, the familiar yellow school bus appeared. Eitan's heart began to race. As the bus entered the schoolyard, children's voices echoed from inside. Laughter. Excited shouting. Little hands waving through the windows. Suddenly, Mary pressed her face against the glass. Moom. Right beside her, Merin bounced excitedly. Dad. Mehin smiled warmly as she waved. The warmest hugs. The moment the bus stopped, all three girls hurried outside. Eitan tried to hug them all at once. She wrapped them tightly in her arms. So tightly. As if she had finally found the breath she had been missing for 3 days. Her eyes filled with tears. The house felt so empty without you. Mehin smiled. We missed you too, Mom. Then she added excitedly. But camp was amazing. As Mutin picked up their backpacks, he looked proudly at his daughters. It looks like my little adventurers have returned. Merin immediately replied. And we were very brave. Bringing home memories. The moment they walked through the front door, the villa came alive again. Shoes were kicked off carelessly. Backpacks landed on the floor. All three girls started talking at the same time. Mom, look what we found. Dad, I collected this. It rained one night. Mutin laughed, completely unable to decide whom to listen to first. A little later, Mary reached into her backpack and pulled out a small stone. It shimmered softly in the sunlight. This was the brightest stone we found during our hike. Then she gently placed it into Eitan's hand. We brought it home for our family. Eitan held the little stone carefully. Her eyes filled with tears once again. Because it wasn't just a stone. It carried love. Memories. Togetherness. She whispered softly. This is the most precious gift. Then she looked at her daughters. No. You are. Camp stories. That evening, the dinner table was once again filled with laughter. The girls took turns sharing stories from camp. Mary spoke excitedly. It started raining while we were putting up our tent. Merin quickly interrupted. The firewood got all wet. Mehin laughed. But we still managed to light the campfire. Mutin pretended to look impressed. So now you're real campers. Merin proudly puffed out her chest. I wasn't scared at all. Mary immediately protested. You screamed when you saw the spider. The entire table burst into laughter. The quiet of the night. That night, the girls fell asleep early. They were exhausted. But happy. Eitan quietly opened the bedroom door just enough to peek inside. All three were sleeping peacefully. One still wore her camp bracelet. Another had dried leaves resting beside her pillow. And the third still had a tiny smile on her face. Mutton quietly joined her. You missed them? Aitan nodded. So much. Then she added softly. But I think, sometimes being apart is actually a beautiful thing. Mutton raised an eyebrow. Aitan smiled. It reminds us just how precious the people we love really are. Mutton gently took her hand. That night, they both realized the same truth. Love doesn't become smaller because of distance. Instead, it grows even stronger. Some homecomings are anything but ordinary. Some hugs make a person's heart feel whole again. And sometimes, even a small separation of only 3 days is enough to remind a family just how deeply they belong to one another. Winter was slowly making its way into Baku. Each morning, a cool breeze drifted in from the Caspian Sea, while the golden glow of the streetlights reflected across the city's quiet avenues after sunset. People had begun wearing thick coats, and the aroma of fresh coffee floated from cozy cafes. But inside the school, the atmosphere was much warmer. Children hurried through the hallways carrying scripts in their hands. Teachers discussed costumes and stage decorations, while the sound of piano rehearsals echoed from the music room. Excitement filled every corner. One day, the school principal gathered all the students in the assembly hall. As whispers spread across the room, the principal stepped onto the stage with a smile and picked up the microphone. We're preparing the biggest theater performance of the year. Every class will be part of the show. The hall immediately erupted with cheers. Mary quickly grabbed her sister's hands. We're joining too. Mayhin bounced excitedly. I want to be a princess. Marin smiled shyly. I just hope I don't get a role with too many lines. The three sisters burst into laughter. Auditions. The auditions began the following day. The teachers carefully watched every child, paying attention to their voices, expressions, and confidence on stage. When Mary stepped onto the stage, she radiated confidence. She delivered every line with such emotion that the teachers exchanged impressed smiles. You have wonderful stage presence, Mary. She was chosen to play one of the story's leading characters, a brave, intelligent, and kind-hearted girl. When Mayhin walked onto the stage, her hands trembled slightly. She was nervous. But the moment she began speaking, the warmth and sincerity in her voice captivated everyone. Her teacher approached her with a smile. Your voice reaches people's hearts. She was given the role of the courageous sister of the main character. Then came Marin. She was completely different. The instant she appeared on stage, the entire room burst into laughter. Her facial expressions, movements, and natural humor were impossible to ignore. This girl was born for the stage, one teacher whispered. She received the play's funniest and most entertaining role. Rehearsals at home. That evening, the girls rushed through the front door. Mom. Dad. Aitan stepped out of the kitchen, surprised. What happened? Mary spoke so quickly she almost ran out of breath. We're going to be in the school play. Marin spun happily in circles. I have so many lines. Mutton laughed, placing a hand over his heart. So our house has officially become a home full of actors. Aitan hugged each of her daughters and kissed their foreheads. You won't only shine on the stage. She smiled warmly. You'll shine throughout your lives. From that day on, the villa felt completely different. The living room transformed into a miniature theater. Scripts lay scattered across the coffee table. Colorful fabrics, crowns, costumes, and handmade props filled every corner. Whenever Mutton returned home from work, the girls hurried toward him. "Dad, watch our rehearsal." Aitan played background music from her phone. Mary proudly recited her lines. "When people choose kindness, they are never truly alone." Mayhin continued with confidence. "Don't be afraid. I'll always be by your side." Then Maren suddenly interrupted everyone. "But first, let's eat." The entire house exploded with laughter. Aitan's quiet tears. Late one evening, after the girls had fallen asleep, Aitan sat alone in the living room. Their costumes rested neatly across the sofa. Tiny shoes, sparkling crowns, little hair ribbons. She gently ran her hand across the fabric. Her eyes slowly filled with tears. Mutton quietly sat beside her. Feeling emotional again, Aitan smiled softly. There was a time when this house knew only silence. Her voice trembled. And now, every corner is alive. Mutton gently took her hand. "Because God entrusted us with 3 miracles." A tear rolled down Aitan's cheek. But these were not tears of sadness. They were tears of gratitude. Opening night. Finally, the day of the performance arrived. The school's auditorium was completely full. Parents eagerly found their seats while children made their final preparations backstage. Mary took slow, deep breaths. Mayhin nervously clasped her hands together. Maren was still talking. "What if I forget my lines?" Mary laughed. "You forget your lines. You never stop talking." All 3 sisters laughed together, and the tension melted away. The curtain rises. The lights dimmed. The curtain slowly opened. Mary stepped onto the stage first. Her clear, confident voice instantly quieted the audience. Soon Mayhin entered. She felt nervous at first. But then she spotted Aitan and Mutton sitting in the front row. Their eyes held nothing but love. That alone gave her courage. Then Maren appeared. Within seconds, the audience was laughing. Their chemistry, their smiles, and the way they cared for one another on stage completely captivated everyone. Aitan couldn't take her eyes off her daughters. Mutton quietly whispered, "Look at them." His voice overflowed with pride. "This is what we've lived for." Aitan's eyes filled once more. "They were once our greatest prayers." She smiled through her tears. "And now, they're our reality." A standing ovation. When the performance ended, silence filled the auditorium for just a few seconds. Then, everyone stood. Thunderous applause echoed throughout the hall. The 3 sisters held hands and bowed together. Teachers couldn't stop praising them. These girls have real talent. They truly belong on a stage. They have an incredible future ahead of them. But for Mary, Mayhin, and Maren, the applause wasn't the most important part. The moment they stepped off the stage, they ran straight into Aitan's and Mutton's arms. Because the greatest stage they would ever stand on was the love of their family. End of chapter. Some of life's greatest joys are never hidden inside grand speeches. They live in a child's laughter, in a mother's tears, and in the proud smile of a father. And that night, 3 little sisters didn't just shine beneath the stage lights. They illuminated 2 once broken hearts with hope, love, and light. If you're curious about the continuation of this story, you can support me by subscribing to my channel. Liking the video and sharing your thoughts in the comments greatly helps my stories reach more people.